Hello everyone, a very good evening to all of you. Very good evening, guys. Hi Deepak, how are you? Let's wait for everyone to join. Okay. All right, guys. A very good evening and welcome to the second demo session. Hi Sahil. Hi. Good evening. साहिल लास्ट टाइम आपकी राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस रह गई थी. इस बार आपकी राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस बहुत अच्छे से हो जाएगी. यस. I will share the link with you so that you can join the session. Live session is starting on 29th. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Okay, so today's agenda, let us go through what we are going to study today. So today I am going to discuss essential elements of a valid contract with you. And most importantly, I will show you how to remember the section numbers in a story format. Okay, so today I'm going to give you a story and we will remember all the section numbers of the definition. Section in the sense the clause. Okay, so today we are going to learn how to remember the clauses of definition in a story format. After that, I'm going to discuss with you the definitions very quickly, and then we are going to study the essential elements of a valid contract. After we do that, then I'm going to discuss with you few questions. Okay, so this is our agenda for today's session. All right. Okay, so now let's get started. I don't think at this stage I need to tell you what is a contract. I'm fine, Deepak. How are you? I'm very excited to, connect with you during our live sessions. So Deepak has already enrolled for the exam-oriented live session, and yes, I am also equally excited to connect with you. Lot of writing practice, question answer writing practice will be done in this batch. Okay. Now, students, do you remember yesterday we had discussed that from this chapter, two types of questions can be asked. One is case-based questions and other is difference between. Okay, difference between can be asked on types of contracts. So difference between void, voidable, void and illegal agreement. Then difference between enforceable unilateral, bilateral, not very frequently asked, but mostly it is void and voidable, void and illegal. These are two difference between on which questions are asked. Now, these are the other types of questions. Yesterday, I had discussed with you the types of questions that can be asked from this chapter. So for every unit, okay, for every unit, I am going to give you a list of topics on which questions will be asked. Okay, so these are the notes that you will get in the exam oriented batch. The live exam oriented batch is going to start from 29th of September. The admissions are on. List is already given in the description box of this video. So these are the notes which you will get for the exam oriented batch. Okay. Now, these are the types of questions that can be asked in case you did not appear for, or you did not watch yesterday's session. So from this chapter, a question is generally asked on the concept of enforceability. Enforceability means intention to sue, intention to file a case. If one party defaults, other party can take action. In case of social or domestic agreements, there is no assumption. We don't assume that parties intend to create legal relation. But in case of a commercial transaction, okay, where money is involved, we assume that there is intention to sue. If one party defaults, other party can take action. इस concept पे बहुत सारे questions आते हैं. Legal formalities, certainty of meaning, it is one of the elements, section 29. So you need to remember the section numbers, and these are the key words which you are expected to write in the exam. Okay, तो ये key words हैं जो आपको आपके आंसर में लिखने ही चाहिए. Then we have what is the meaning of implied contract, and इस पे भी केस बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. कूली वाला जो एग्जाम्पल है ना, केस बेस्ड क्वेश्चन, इसमें जो एग्जाम्पल है वो कूली. ओके, सो द कूली पिक्स अप योर लगेज, ही वॉक्स टुवर्ड्स द एग्जिट, आप भी उसको रोकते नहीं हो, एंड देन यू से थैंक यू बडी, थैंक यू, अगली बार भी मिलना. ही इज आस्किंग मनी फ्रॉम यू, कैन ही डिमांड मनी? यस, it's an implied contract. In case a question is asked in the exam, 99% it will be asked on this example of coolie. Okay. Then we have section 65. A question may not be asked on this chapter, on this section. Okay. Section 65 question will not be asked, but yes, you need to mention this in answers. Okay. So if suppose restoration of benefit is asked in the exam, yes, Sona, classes will be available in English. Yesterday also I was telling my students, if you listen in English, you process in English, you will be able to write in English. Why do students get less marks in law? Because they listen in Hindi, try to process that and then translate in English. That is why they lose marks. My English is going to be very simple. I'm going to go very slow. Any student who doesn't have a good command over English, even that student will be able to understand my lectures. Okay, so please don't worry. And if you feel, ma'am, I'm not able to understand, I will explain in Hindi also. So don't worry about understanding, trust. Okay, so section 65, you may be expected to write this in some of the answer. So from answer point of view, section 65 is important. Okay, section 65 talks about restoration of benefit. Restoration of benefit. Okay, this restoration of benefit is in case of a void contract. Restoration of benefit in case of voidable contract. Krish, I am going to teach BCR also. We are going to discuss all the formats of BCR. I am going to tell you which question is to be solved first, how to save time, how to manage your time. In BCR, which question should be attempted in the first 1 hour, which question should be attempted in the second, what is the paper pattern, what type of everything will be covered in the lectures. So after these lectures are over, you will want कि मैम कल ही एग्जाम हो जाए, हम तो तैयार हैं, ऐसी तैयारी होगी आपकी. Okay, so in here, yes, I was telling you about section 64. Section 64 talks about restoration of benefit in case of voidable contract. Okay, restoration of benefit. Have you taken a printout of this? Have you taken a printout, students? I had asked you to download the notes from my website. Did you take a printout? If no, I'll just share that link with you again. You can download these notes and you can take a printout and be ready so that, you know, next lecture you can write along with me. This is nothing but write and practice. Okay, so we are going to write and practice everything. So please go and download. In case you have not downloaded the lecture notes, please go and download these lecture notes. So restoration of benefit, this is in case of voidable contract. So these are the important sections, important concepts which on which a question can be asked from this unit, nature of contract. Okay, now what is law? Law is nothing but a set of rules. So, ma'am, do we really need to go through all this now? We know the basics of contract. So let us quickly go through the introduction and go to the concepts which are important from exam point of view. Okay. So law is nothing but a set of rules. Will question be asked on this part? Question will not be asked. This is an exam oriented batch. I will teach you everything which is important for exam. I will train you for exam. So what is going to be asked in the exam? Can this be asked? I don't think it will be asked in the exam because you don't have a multiple choice question. But for knowledge purpose, you should know that the Indian Contract Act came into force on 1st September 1872. You need to learn the date. So now, in my exam oriented batch, as I promised, I am going to make you highlight the keywords. So this is a keyword. Okay, so if you have already taken a printout, then you can please highlight. Now, These notes are color. Ma'am, we don't have a color printer, and when we go to print these notes, it will be very dark. Students, in the lectures, you will get two sets of notes. One is color and other is printable. Okay, so you can print those lecture notes without color. Okay, so I will give you two sets. One is color. You can store it in your mobile or your laptop or iPad. And other set will be a printable set, which will be black and white, so that your money is also saved and then the notes are also clear. Okay, so that is how I'm going to share the lecture notes. Now, the Indian Contract Act came into force on 1st September. For knowledge purpose, this is important. Knowledge purpose, it is important that this act came into force. Sorry, this act applies to the whole of India after article, okay, this act applies to the whole of India. All right. So yes, there were certain amendments, but all that will not be asked in the exam. Okay. All right. Now let us come to one very important part, that is definitions. I had promised that I will make you learn the section numbers in a story format. So what is the story that we can use to learn these sections? Now, these are all definitional sections. Ma'am, will they ask us to define something? Yes. Like say for example, in case of misrepresentation, okay, in case of misrepresentation, a question is specifically asked, define misrepresentation, and then they will give you a case-based question. This is the type of question which is normally asked on the concept of misrepresentation. So yes, in certain questions, they will ask you to explain the definition, write the definition also. So define misrepresentation, define undue influence, define coercion, define voidable contract. These are the concepts on which questions are generally asked. Okay, now, first, let us understand from these definitions, which definition is most important for exam. So if I go through all the definitions, offer, acceptance, consideration, contract, voidable and void contract. Okay, so these are important definitions for exam. Okay, so for exam, you need to properly learn definition of offer, definition of acceptance, definition of consideration, definition of contract, voidable contract and void contract. Okay, so this is important from exam point of view. But we are also going to study this because it's an exam oriented, but doesn't mean that I'm going to leave certain sections. No, we will cover everything. But what is most important are these sections. All right. Now, are we going to learn the definitions in the first lecture itself? No. We are only going to learn the section numbers. But why are we not going to learn the sections over here? Why are we not learning the definition? I will make you learn the definition when that chapter comes. In this chapter, what is important for us to know? What is a promise and a promisor, promisee? We need to know what is agreement and what is contract. Later, when I discuss classification of contracts, I will make you learn void agreement, voidable, void contract. I will make you learn all that. But over here now, in chapter that is unit 1A, what is important for us is learning the section numbers. All right. So let us learn the section numbers. Section 2, clause A, B, C, D, E, F. I have written everything in a sequence. Okay. Now, please pay attention. This is how you will remember all the sections. Section 2, clause A defines offer. See, offer is the starting point of contract. Okay. You need an offer and then everything follows. Offer is the starting point of contract. Offer is defined in section 2, clause A. So clause A defines offer. Easy. After offer, then comes acceptance. Section 2, clause B defines acceptance. See, it's a very logical flow. So offer is the starting point of contract. Section 2, clause A. Offer needs to be properly accepted. Okay. Now, offer plus acceptance makes a promise. What is a promise? A proposal, when accepted, becomes a promise. Sumesh, the session will be live only on my platform. These are demo sessions for the live batch. You can enroll for the live batch. Currently, these are only demo sessions, but it will be a live revision on my platform. Okay, you can visit my website capreetiagarwal.com and enroll for the batch. Now, okay, I'm not going to answer your questions right now. I will first concentrate on teaching the concept and then I will answer your questions. Okay, so please don't type the question again and again. I will answer. Now, offer is the starting point of contract, and this offer must be properly accepted. A proposal, when accepted, becomes a promise. Okay. Now, Section 2 Clause A defines offer. Section 2 Clause B defines acceptance. A proposal, when accepted, becomes a promise. The person who gives the offer is known as promisor, and the person to whom the offer is given is known as promisee. So logically speaking, after offer, acceptance, the next definition is promisor and promisee. Again, I repeat, offer is the starting point of contract. Why am I repeating? Because when I keep on repeating, automatically you will be able to learn all these sections. Offer is the starting point of contract. Offer must be properly accepted. A proposal, when accepted, becomes a promise. Offer जो देता है, he is the promiser, and the person to whom the offer is given is the promisee. Is it clear? So Section 2 Clause C defines promisor and promisee. Now, we have offer, we have acceptance, it becomes a promise. But to make an agreement, we also need consideration. Why? Because if you read the definition of agreement, every promise and every set of promises forming consideration for each other. It means that to make a valid agreement, I need consideration also. That is why consideration needs to be defined before we define an agreement. Now, a proposal, when accepted, becomes a promise. Person who gives the offer is known as the promisor. Person to whom the offer is given is known as the promisee. To make an agreement, I also need consideration because nobody will give promise for free. I need consideration. Now, consideration means dena, lena. Dena means to give, lena means to take. This is consideration, dena, lena. This is another way of remembering consideration. Consideration means dena, lena. So dena, lena, consideration. Okay. So consideration is defined under Section 2 Clause D. I have offer, I have acceptance, I have consideration. It becomes an agreement. That is why agreement is defined in Clause E, because Clause E defines agreement. Okay, this is how you will remember the section number. Again, offer is the starting point of contract. Offer, when accepted, becomes a promise. The person who gives the offer is the promisor. The person to whom the offer is given is the promisee. I need consideration, only then it will become an agreement. Consideration means dena, lena, to give, to take. So dena, lena. Agreement, E is defined, subsection Section 2 Clause E defines an agreement. Okay, so up till Clause E, we are able to learn in a story format. Now, I gave a promise, I got a promise in return. That makes a reciprocal promise. Not very important section for exam. Okay, I gave a promise, I received a promise in return. This is nothing but a reciprocal promise. Promise. Everybody is giving promises to each other. There are a lot of promises. It becomes a reciprocal promise. Okay. Now, we are at agreement stage. अब तक हमने contract नहीं बनाया है. To make a valid contract, I need all the essential elements to be present. What if the essential element is missing? If the essential element is missing, तो गया contract बनेगा ही नहीं. गया, gone. It will be a void agreement if the elements are missing. अरे गया, एलिमेंट मिसिंग है, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बनेगा ही नहीं, गया, जी जी, void agreement. Void agreement is nothing but they are talking about void ab initio. Why am I explaining void ab initio to you? Because see over here, there is void contract also. How to differentiate, क्या बात हो रही है? Void agreement is void ab initio and void contract is just void. Just void matlab the contract was valid when entered, but later on due to certain circumstances the contract becomes void. This is defined under section 2J. Okay, so now again let's revise. Offer is the starting point of contract. This offer must be properly accepted. A proposal when accepted becomes a promise. The person who gives the proposal is known as the promiser. The person to whom the proposal is given is known as the promisee. They will not work for free. To make an agreement we need consideration also. Consideration means dena, lena, d. We have offer, we have acceptance, we have consideration. Now we have formed an agreement. E, that is agreement. Now reciprocal promise. Promise. There are so many promises which they are giving to each other. That is known as reciprocal promise. I need all the essential elements to be present in a valid contract. Even if one essential element is missing, then the agreement gaya. फिर तो वो contract बनेगा ही नहीं. गया, जी, void agreement. याद हो गया मुझे, void agreement. Now, if all the essential elements are present, all the essential elements are present, yes, all the essential elements are present, then it becomes a contract. 2H clause, section 2 clause H, all the essential elements are present, 2H defines contract. Okay. Guys, if you're liking this, please give a thumbs up and then leave, okay? Give a thumbs up. If you are enjoying the story in which we are learning the section, please give a thumbs up. Give a like this video. Okay. Okay, all right. So, yes, contract bana. Contract bana. Okay. Now, void के बाद, sorry, contract के बाद, what if I decide, okay, what if I decide whether a contract is to be kept valid or not? I will decide. See what happens in case of voidable contract. I, the aggrieved party, okay, I, the aggrieved party, will decide whether this contract will remain valid or whether I can cancel the contract, okay. I will decide. I, aggrieved party, will decide whether I need to keep this contract valid or I can cancel the contract. I will decide. That is nothing but a voidable contract, okay. And lastly, clause J, okay. So aggrieved party will decide whether the contract is to be valid or not. That is voidable contract, okay. So that makes a contract voidable. All right. Then lastly we have a void contract, okay. Void contract matlab kya? Void contract means the contract was valid when it was entered, but later on due to certain circumstances this became void. So if I want to tell this in Hindi, what will I say? A contract when entered was valid, later on due to certain circumstances ये void हो जाएगा. Void हो जाएगा. Void हो जाएगा. J. So clause J, okay. So earlier when the contract was entered, that time it was valid, but later on due to certain circumstances now ये contract void हो जाएगा. J, that defines void, okay. So void contract is defined under clause J. All right. Now, I want to revise this because this is the first time that we are discussing the definitions in this manner. Okay, we are discussing the definitions. So, the offer is the starting point of contract. Offer must be properly accepted. A proposal, when accepted, becomes a promise. The person who gives the offer is known as the promiser. Person to whom the offer is given is known as the promisee. Then to make valid agreement, I need consideration. Consideration means dena, lena. DD, that is consideration. After I have consideration, I have all these three elements, then it becomes an agreement. EE, agreement. There are so many promises that we are studying. They are known as reciprocal promises. I need all the essential elements to be present to make a valid contract. If elements are missing, then it is just a void agreement. गया भाई, ये तो गया, ये तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बनेगा ही नहीं. हाँ, लेकिन अगर all the essential elements are present, हाँ, it becomes a contract. If all the essential elements are present, it becomes a contract. If it is a valid contract, but I will decide whether the contract is to be valid, is to remain valid or not, then that type of contract in which I, the aggrieved party, has an option, then that is known as a voidable contract. And what is the meaning of a void contract? Void contract is valid when it was entered, but later on, due to certain circumstances, it becomes void. अरे void हो जाएगा. Valid contract circumstance की वजह से void हो जाएगा. JJ talks about void contract. So this is how you will remember the section numbers. Okay. So section number we discussed with a clause also. These are clauses. In the definition, you have clause, you don't have subsection because each definition is different. So clauses. Now, this is the most important theory part for exam, enforceability. Now, in order to make a valid contract, I need agreement and enforceability. See, these basics you are already aware of. Yes, you are already aware. Agreement means I need offer, I need acceptance, and I need enforceability also. What is the meaning of enforceability? Enforceability means intention to sue, intention to file a case. If one party defaults, other party can take action. That is enforceability. In case of, you tell me, in case of commercial transactions, is there a presumption? Is there a presumption? Yes or no? What about social and domestic? In case of business or commercial transaction, is there a presumption? Answer is yes. There is a presumption. We assume that parties can file a case. They need not separately agree on this. If one party defaults, other party can take action. ये हमारा assumption है. But there is no such assumption in case of social or domestic because contract at the time of formation, we never had any intention of filing a case. Like in case of husband-wife. Okay, in case of husband-wife. In case of contract between relatives, family members, between friends, we never assume that there was intention to create legal relation. However, students, important for case-based question. Okay, important for case-based. In case of these social agreements, law assumes that parties don't intend to create legal relation, but I can by an agreement impose legal relation. मैं उसमें enforceability डाल सकती हूँ. How? Let's say that husband and wife enter into a contract. Wife tells the husband, I don't believe you. Huh? You write it, you sign it, we will register it, we will get it registered. So if they make this agreement in writing, they get it registered. It means even though this is a social agreement, they are showing intention to create legal relation by putting it in writing, by getting it registered. Then in that case, this will be a valid contract. So even in case of social or domestic agreements, you can impose, आप उसमें enforceability अलग से डालकर उसको एक valid contract बना सकते हो. Okay? Unless you do this, we assume that if you don't do this, then we will assume that there is no intention to create legal relation. But if I make this agreement in writing, I also get it registered. It means you are showing that even though it is a social agreement, domestic agreement, I am imposing, I'm adding enforceability and making it a valid contract. Okay, now, so yes, this is important for exam and you need to learn this. In case of business or commercial, the usual presumption is that parties intend to create legal relation. In case of social domestic, the usual presumption is that parties do not intend to create legal relation. This you need to learn. This you will have to write in the exam. And you will also have to explain what is enforceability. So for explaining that, you will say that in case one party defaults, the other party can take action. That is the explanation. So you need to learn this. Okay. So that was all about enforceability. From essential elements. First, let us highlight the essential elements which are important for exam and on which questions are generally asked. Okay, so you will be asked questions on intention to create legal relation. Yes, many questions are asked around Balfour versus Balfour. You will not be expected to write the case law. No, that is not required. But yes, you will be expected. You are not expected to write the case law, but you will be expected to apply the case law in a question. Okay, so yes, this is important for exam. So highlight the ones which I am marking. On free consent, they will not ask. There is a separate chapter on that. There's a separate chapter on all this. Certainty of meaning, section 29, they can ask you a case-based question. For others, yes, legal formalities, they can ask you a case-based question. Okay, so these are the most important elements. Till now, I think till 2018 till 2023 June attempt, they have never asked to write all the essential elements. Okay, so they have, up till now, they have not asked us to write all the essential elements, but even if they do ask, we know it's a very simple question. We will still be able to, okay, we will still be able to answer it. Now, to make a valid contract, I need two parties, one who gives the offer and the other person to whom the offer is given. So we need minimum two parties. There must be proper offer and acceptance. Now, before I discuss this, what is the equation of contract? Okay, what is the equation of contract? Contract is nothing but offer plus acceptance plus enforceability. It means in order to make a valid contract, I need offer. Offer is the most important element. Offer is the starting point of contract and this offer must be properly communicated. अरे सामने वाले पार्टी को ऑफर के बारे में पता चलेगा तभी तो वो एक्सेप्ट करेगा ना. And once the offer is communicated, the second important step is acceptance. So the second element is that there must be proper offer and acceptance. Will this be asked in the exam? No, it will not be asked in the exam. The third element that I require is enforceability. Will this be asked in the exam? Yes, this is the most important element and a question if asked will be mostly on this concept only. Now, what is enforceability? Enforceability means that there must be an intention to create legal relation. If one party defaults, the other party can take action. In case of business or commercial, see, points are repeated. I am repeating these points only. In case of business or commercial, there is an assumption that parties intend to create legal relation, but there is no such assumption in case of social or domestic agreement. Do we need to learn the name of this case law? Yes, you need to learn the name. What about the facts? Facts can be written in your own words. Now, what are the facts of Balfour versus Balfour? Okay, let us quickly revise the facts of Balfour versus Balfour. Now, Mr. Balfour and Mrs. Balfour, they were enjoying a holiday in London, England. Okay, when suddenly Mr. Balfour was called back to his place of work in Sri Lanka. So he said, yes, quickly, pack your bags. We have to go back to Sri Lanka. Mrs. Balfour says, no, I can't travel. I have developed arthritis. So he said, all right, you stay here. I will give you maintenance. Okay, so he promised to pay her 30 pounds per month. He made this promise and he went away. Okay. Now, promise to kar diya, but he failed to fulfill that promise. Mrs. Balfour filed a case, but she lost the case because this was considered to be a domestic agreement And in case of domestic agreement, there is no intention to create legal relation. This is how you will write the explanation in the exam. Okay. So this is, it is a domestic agreement. There is no intention to create legal relation. So Mrs. Balfour lost the case. Okay, so this is how you will explain. Now, on this topic, case-based questions are generally asked. See, this is the type of question that will be asked on the concept of enforceability. Okay. Now, you tell me what are the points that we should include. Okay. Now, father promised to pay his son a sum of 1 lakh rupees if the son passed a CA examination in the first attempt. Now, father is promising to pay his son. Immediately, it should click in your mind, father and son. This is domestic. Okay. So, first, when you read this, you should immediately be able to identify that this is a domestic agreement. Okay. Then you continue reading domestic agreement. There is no intention to create legal relationship. There is no intention. Now, the son passed the exam in the first attempt, but the father failed to pay the amount as promised. Son files a case, state along with reasons whether the son can recover the amount under the Indian Contract Act. Now, you tell me what are the various points that I should include in the answer. I'm waiting for your answer. You tell me what are the various points that we should include here. Let's see if you're able to identify. I'll wait for you. You give me the answer. Okay. Contract is not written, but is the contract required to be in writing? Is it compulsory that it has to be in writing? No. Is writing of the contract the main argument in this case? Is writing our main argument? You are missing out on the main point. What is the main argument over here? आपका जो आंसर है वो किस एक प्रोविजन पे बेस होना चाहिए? It's a void. It's not even a contract. It's not even a contract. It's just an agreement. What is the main point on which this entire question is based? You will not get marks for writing. It's not a written agreement. Yes, Sona, very good. The entire answer is based on enforceability. See, you identified the wrong element. That is why you did not get marks. Sumesh, it is in this contract there must be intention to legal. Okay, yes. Your entire answer should be based on the concept of enforceability. Acha, when there's no intention. Yes, Sahil, now you are right. There's no intention to create legal relation. So see over here, you will explain. Okay, you will explain the concept of enforceability. So this is the first thing. This is the first point that I will write. What is enforceability? Enforceability means intention to sue, intention to file a case. If one party defaults, other party can take action. In case of business or commercial transactions, there is an assumption. Okay, there is an assumption to create legal relation. But in case of social or domestic agreements, there is no assumption to create legal relation. Okay, so your entire answer should be based on the concept of enforceability, and you will explain all these provisions after this. You will write down reference case law. Now this you will add, okay, this you will add only when there is a case law. It will not come in every question. Here you will write Balfour versus Balfour. Okay, you will write Balfour versus Balfour. Do you need to explain this case law? No, it's not required because the question is not demanding an explanation. What if the question was directly a conversion of Balfour versus Balfour? अगर वो डायरेक्ट कन्वर्जन होता, मतलब बैल्फर वर्सेस बैल्फर के फैक्ट्स को ही क्वेश्चन बना दिया होता, then you will explain Balfour versus Balfour, but here you will only write name. No need to explain. Okay, so you will give the heading reference case law. All right, now in facts of the case, you will write these facts in your own words. How will you write it? Father promised to pay his son 1 lakh if son passed the exam in first attempt. Although son passed the exam in first attempt, father failed to pay. That's it. Only this much you will write in facts. Analysis. What all will you write in analysis? Let's see if you are able to identify it properly. What will you write in analysis? On what points will you stress? This is a domestic agreement. Okay? Agreement between father and son is a domestic agreement. In case of domestic agreement, there is no intention to create legal relationship. There's no intention to create legal relationship. That is why, since there is no enforceability, parties never intended to sue each other, this will not be a valid contract. Okay, hence son cannot sue father. And what will you write in conclusion? From the above facts, okay, from the above provisions also you can write, from the above provisions, we can conclude that son cannot sue father. What have they asked? Can the son recover the amount? You can also write, we can conclude that son cannot sue the father and recover the amount. See, that was asked in the question. Just 1 or 2 lines, that is sufficient. Okay, so in this case, you will stress on agreement between father and son is a domestic agreement. There is no intention to create legal relationship. It is not a contract, hence son will not be able to sue the father. Maximum marks will be on writing the provisions, writing the name of the case law, and writing the analysis. If you want to quote section number, you can quote section 10. Okay, section 10, which discusses essential elements of a valid contract. So if you want, you can write section 10. Okay, so this is how question will be asked. Now, this is a very twisted question. ये थोड़ा tricky question है. You can answer this question by applying. You can answer this question by either applying the principles of consideration or by applying the principles of enforceability. Okay, इसीलिए मैंने ये question लिया यहाँ पर because it is slightly tricky. Now, Ramesh promised to pay 50,000 rupees to his wife, Miss Lali. So when we have a case of husband and wife, okay, जब husband and wife का यहाँ पर हमारे पास case है, immediately you should be able to identify while reading the question that this is a domestic agreement. Okay, this is a domestic. Now let us read further. He promised to pay 50,000 so that she can spend the sum on her 30th birthday. She insisted that her husband should make a written agreement if he really loved her. Mr. Ramesh made a written agreement and the agreement was also registered. Now, as I go on reading the question, I identify that this is a domestic agreement. Okay, this was the first thing that I identified. But I also identified that in spite of this being a domestic agreement, it is in writing and it is registered also. It means they are showing intention to create legal relation. Okay. Hi Nitin, good evening. Good evening, Nitin. So here there is intention to create legal relation. Mr. Ramesh failed to pay. Now Mrs. Lali wants to file a case. Advise whether she will succeed. Now you tell me, will she succeed? Answer in yes or no. Will Mrs. Lali succeed? Sahil, Sumesh, Sona, Nitin, waiting for your answers. Yes. Nitin, I'm so sorry you joined late, so you missed the concept. The ones who were present, Sahil, Sona, Sumesh, they were present during the lecture. Your answer is correct. Yes, she will win the case. Why? Because we imposed, we induced, हमने डाला उसमें, क्या डाला? Enforceability डाली. कैसे डाली? Because yes, I agree it was domestic. I agree. But written में लाया ना, register किया ना. I am showing intention. If you are making it in writing, if you are registering, it means if one party defaults, other party can take action. This is enforceability. So in the exam, again, what will you write? You will first explain enforceability. You will explain enforceability means intention to sue, intention to file a case. If one party defaults, other party can take action. First, explain enforceability. Explain it. Then you will write something about commercial transactions or business transaction, that there is an assumption, but in case of social or domestic, there is no such assumption. But the legal, or you can say intention, can be shown by making it in writing, by making the agreement in writing, getting it registered. Since they had got it registered, but due to writing, yes Sahil, very good. देखो, एक क्वेश्चन आपको मैंने बताया, ठीक है साहिल, आई एम सो हैप्पी. एक में आपने मिस्टेक की, बट आपने पिकअप कर लिया कि अब मेरे को कैसे लिखना है. वेरी गुड, आई एम हैप्पी विद योर आंसर. सोना, इवन यू explained it correctly. Sumesh, correct answer. So intention can be shown by making it in writing and getting it registered also. Because it is in writing and it is registered, there is enforceability. बस solution इधर नहीं लिखना है. You don't have to write solution. Solution will be here. Because the agreement was in writing, because it was registered, this shows enforceability, even though it is domestic agreement, but we are showing enforceability. Therefore, it is a valid contract and hence Lali can sue. Conclusion may be Mrs. Lali will succeed. Okay, now you can also answer this question from consideration point of view. Okay, this is an exception to consideration. No consideration, no contract. Now, if the agreement is between persons standing in near relation, it is based on natural love and affection. Between persons standing in near relation, it is written, it is registered. You can also answer this question as an exception to consideration. You can apply the provisions of section 25. But why have I not applied? Because over here the words natural love and affection was not mentioned. But here you can say that if he loved her, okay, this can be natural love and affection. You'll have to write it in your answer that I am assuming that the words loved her shows that it is based on natural love and affection. So section 25, if the agreement is based on natural love and affection, it is in writing, it is registered, it is between persons who are in near relation, then even though husband is not getting anything in return, it is valid. You can answer from that point of view, but I am not choosing that. Why? Because I feel that the question is not asked from consideration point of view. The question is not asked from natural love and affection point of view. The question is not asked on whether the contract is valid or not, even though Ramesh is not getting any consideration. The question is not from that point of view. That is why I am choosing to write the answer on enforceability. If you see the model answer, it is based on enforceability only. ICAI model answer. Is it clear? So these are the type of questions that can be asked on enforceability. Now, what are the other elements? There must be free consent. Free consent means parties must agree upon the same thing in the same sense. Consensus ad idem. Do you need to remember the Latin phrase? Yes. You need to remember the Latin phrase. Consent is not free when it is caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, mistake. Now, what is the meaning of coercion? Coercion means there is threat or physical force. I'm not explaining it right now because we are going to discuss all this in detail in unit 3 and this is not something new. From exam point of view, do you need to learn this now? No, we can wait. We can do this in unit 3. Okay, the next element is that parties must be capable of entering into valid contract. For me, section 11 is important. You need to learn this section number. Okay, section 11, capacity, competency. Only a major person of sound mind, person who's not disqualified can enter into a valid contract. This again we will discuss in unit 3. Consideration must be lawful. The object must also be lawful. This is discussed under section 23. Do you need to learn the section number? Yes, you need to learn, but we will also cover this in detail in unit 3. To make a valid contract, there must be consideration. This consideration must be lawful. Object means the purpose for which the contract is entered. That purpose must be lawful. Lawful purpose, lawful consideration, they both go hand in hand. If the agreement has unlawful object, the consideration will also be unlawful. Okay. Now, just to give you one example, X promised to pay 5,000 rupees to Y and Y promised to bring drugs. Here the object is unlawful and hence the consideration is also unlawful. Okay. So lawful object, lawful consideration, they go hand in hand. Section number is also same, section 23. Object means purpose. This is how we will make notes. Object means purpose. Here also you can write over here coercion, although I don't think we need to write. I have already highlighted the keywords. It's okay. But if you want to write and practice, how will you write and practice? Use the left margin. What happens in case of coercion? See how I'm writing and practicing. Okay. In case of coercion, there is threat or physical force. This is my writing practice. See, I will write it. Okay. In case of undue influence, if I want to revise the section, I will write the section number also. Section 15. I will write here section 16. There is some kind of moral or mental pressure. This is the keyword. There has to be some kind of relation, not blood relation, but there is some kind of relation. Only then we have undue influence. So these are the keywords. In case of fraud, what are the keywords? Keyword is that there must be intention. No, there must be false representation. False representation is the keyword. There is false representation of fact and made intentionally. Intentionally with the aim of cheating or deceiving the other party. In case of misrepresentation, section 18, there is false representation. I agree, but it is made innocently. There is no intention to cheat or deceive the other party. In case of mistake, section 20 talks about bilateral mistake. Okay, in case of bilateral mistake, there is an erroneous belief. This is my keyword. There is an erroneous belief concerning something. This is how I will write and practice the keywords. This is how you will learn law. This is something which should, these are the words which will fetch you marks. Marks इस पे मिलेंगे, ये words लिखने पे मिलेंगे आपको marks. And not writing in your own words. They want these words in your answer. Agreement must not be expressly void. This we will discuss again in unit 3. मैंने बताया ना आपको, from this essential element, only the ones which I have highlighted are more important for exam. Certainty of meaning, section 29. The terms, the words must be clear, definite, and not vague. What are the keywords? Okay, the keywords over here now. Keywords. The terms must be clear, certain, definite, not vague. These are my keywords. Okay. To be a valid contract, section 19 is voidable. The contract where consent is obtained by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, the contract is voidable. ये दिया है section 19 में. Undue influence section 19A में covered है. Okay. So in case the consent is obtained by coercion, fraud, misrepresentation, the contract is voidable. ये दिया है section 19 में. And undue influence से consent अगर मैंने obtain किया है तो वो voidable है. ये दिया हुआ है section 19A में. Section 19A. Okay. Keywords है, the terms must be certain, definite and not vague. Now, what is important for exam? हमारा exam oriented batch है, तो important for exam क्या होगा? इस पे question आएगा oil वाला. Oil वाला example है, उस पे question आएगा. Now, what is the what is the question? Section 29, if it is asked in the exam, यही example पे आएगा. X is a dealer in different kinds of oil. Okay, different oils. He offers to sell 100 liters of oil to Y at 100 rupees per liter. Is this valid contract? Is this valid offer? Is this a valid offer? He's a dealer in different kinds of oil. Is this a valid offer? No. Why no? Why no? Yes, answer is correct, no. But why no? Why no? Reason. Why is this not a valid contract? Why is this not a valid offer? Why this will not create a valid contract? The kind of oil is not specified. Yes? You have to write the reason also, na, in the exam. Why is this not a valid offer? Why will this not be a valid contract? Because, no Sahil, object nahi, the kind of oil is not specified. The kind of oil. So the terms are uncertain. Yes, kind of oil is not specified. This you need to write in your answer. Kind of oil is not specified. Therefore, it is not a valid offer. It will not create a valid contract. Okay. Now, impossibility, again we will discuss in unit 4, section 56. Impossibility may be either initial impossibility or supervening impossibility. Legal formalities, yes. Legal formalities like registration, stamping, attestation, writing. See, if law specifies, then you need to comply with this. अगर कुछ भी नहीं लिखा, अपनी मर्जी से contract करो. Now, you tell me, and let's see if that is a correct answer. X wants to sell an immovable property to Y. He makes an oral agreement. Is this valid contract? Is this valid? Is this valid? X offers to sell an immovable property to Y through an oral agreement. Is it valid? Is it valid? No. Why no? Nitin, why no? Answer is correct. Nitin, why no? Sahil, correct answer. Why no? Because there is a legal formality that the agreement must be in writing and it must be registered. Immovable property के जितने भी agreements होते हैं, they must be in writing and they must be in register. Yes. One more question. Okay, one more question. X promised to gift 50,000 rupees to Y through an oral agreement. Is this valid? Oral agreement. No. Gift must always be in writing. Gift deed must be in writing. It must be registered. Otherwise, it will not be valid. If I want to give someone something as gift, not at the time of marriage, otherwise than marriage, then agreement must be in writing and it must be registered. This is a legal formality. So, if there is a legal formality, you need to comply. Otherwise, if there is no formality, then even oral contracts are valid. Only thing is that you need witness to prove. That's it. Otherwise, oral contracts are also valid. Okay. So, these are the type of questions that can be asked on legal formalities. And I also discussed the case-based questions with you. Now, let us go through the important ones. So today we discussed concept of enforceability, legal formalities, certainty of meaning. This I will discuss tomorrow. Okay, this I will discuss tomorrow because tomorrow we are going to meet and we are going to study classification of contract. Okay, tomorrow we are going to study classification of contract. And with that we will complete our first chapter. Okay, first unit will get over. So tomorrow we will discuss classification of contract. All right, students. So I'm ending the session here. In case you wish to join my live class, exam oriented class, I am sharing a link with you. Podcast play. Okay. Okay, podcast. Yeah, I wanted to inform you about the podcast. Podcast is a revision podcast. It's just audio. जैसे आप गाने सुनते हो, automatically याद हो जाते हैं. So with that aim, we have the podcast. Just keep on listening to the podcast and you will be able to remember everything. So with that aim, we have launched the revision podcast. Okay. So this is the link to enroll for the live class. This is the link to enroll for the live class. So you can take admission. The classes will start. Thank you so much, Sona. The link is shared with you. The classes are starting from 29th September. Please take care of your health. Okay, thank you. So, okay. So the classes are starting from 29th of September and we will meet every day for 2 hours for 15 days. Okay. So every day we will meet for 15 days. Yes, Sumesh, podcast can be purchased separately, but podcast is in Hindi English mix. I don't have a podcast in English only. Okay, it is in Hindi English mix. So if you're looking for Hindi English mix, it is available. You can purchase it from my website, capreetiaggarwal.com. And the live classes will start from 29th September. Every day we will meet for 2 hours and we will complete the entire syllabus. No, Nitin, you have to enroll for the live class. You have to pay for it. It's not free. Okay, it's not free. It is not on YouTube. These are demo sessions. And the live class will be on my platform. I will share a link with you. I will share the activation key with you. It will be an interactive platform. I will ask you questions. You will answer and I will write. Here there is some lag. Actually, it takes time. I tell you something, you write and type. But in my platform, Zoom is integrated. So you will be able to immediately tell me the answer. And through that, you will be able to learn and you will understand how to frame the answer. So Nitin, you can purchase and you can enroll yourself. It's a paid class. It is not free. All right, guys. So I will take your leave and I will meet you tomorrow. Same time, 7 p.m.